So one question would be, for those who do not have Python installed yet, can anyone tell us what their challenge is? If you have a system and you have not installed Python, what's your challenge? Then for those that do not have a system who understand, you would use Google Colab. Anyone wants to share what their challenge is? Why have you not installed it? Okay. Okay, so let's just start with this. So we're going to do introduction to Python today. I thought of something to just stir your mind. I think we'll do this now every time we have a class, just to be like an icebreaker. So the first thing, it's a quote here from Bill Gates. We all know Bill Gates, one-time richest man in the world, and the co-founder of Microsoft. Now he runs a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for philanthropy. So he said, learning to write programs stretches your mind and helps you think better, creates a way of thinking about things that I think is helpful in all domains. So learning to program is important. It expands your mind. It helps you to think better. It helps you to be a problem solver, basically, because usually when you're writing code, you're trying to solve a problem. So if you learn how to write programs, it's going to stretch your mind. It's an important endeavor in life that if you learn how to program, you're going to understand life better, your mind will be stressed, and then you can even apply what you learn in programming to other domains. Okay, so think about that. Yeah, so like we said, we're just going to go to the basic now. Someone was already asking about the car data, and also I'm not going to rush this again. I think we have enough time to go through this, and we'll get into the supervised and unsupervised learning, which we'll do, I think, from like 2 or 3 weeks time. Yeah, but from next week, hopefully you'll start getting your projects, since we already have the project groups. Now, Python is a popular programming language. We know programming languages are used to give instructions to computers to make computer execute some certain tasks, some predefined tasks. So it was created in 1991 by this guy, Guido van Rossum. I think Guido van Rossum is now working with Microsoft now, if I am correct. So Python can be used for web development, software development, mathematics, and it can be used in a lot of domains. It's really a versatile and popular programming language. It's in the top 5 popular programming languages in several domains, right? But for machine learning, I think it's the most popular. So it's going to be the major programming language that we would use for building our machine learning models. So that's why we are learning Python. That's why it's important you understand Python, right? Because once we understand this and take our time to get what Python is about, then when we are building the models, you can build your models and then apply it to your data, or even apply it in your work environment eventually. So like you said about Python, so you need to install Python. Thankfully, many people have installed it already. You can download Anaconda, or you can download Python directly. Then you can run Python on the command line. I'll show that today. You can run it directly on the command line, or you can use a graphical user interface like Visual Studio Code, which we would use for this class. So you can use Visual Studio Code. You can use IntelliJ. You can use Atom, Eclipse. There are different ones, but we use mainly Visual Studio Code. So you can also download the community edition and install that. Then if you're on mobile phone, you can use this website, thankfully, on Google Colab to run notebooks, because Python can be run directly on the command line, or it can be run by creating a .py file and then running that .py file on the command line. So Python files have an extension of .py. But Python files also, there are also Python notebooks. You can also run a notebook, like using Jupyter Notebook if you have Anaconda, or Colab, Google Colab. Sorry. Or Google Colab, right? So running on the Python notebook, or Jupyter Notebook, or Google Colab. So Python notebooks usually have an extension .ipynb. We talked about that last week. So then okay, so in Python, usually you would have to use indentations, giving a space for a block of code. We'll see that just now when we go into our class activity. So Python some programming languages just use spaces for readability, but for Python is important because it's part of the indentation, it's part of the block of code. If there's no space, then Python would return an error. So that's Python syntax. And that's one basic thing about Python syntax, just understanding how Python languages are written or Python codes are written. So our first activity for today is for you to create a file called hello.py. So I'm going to open our Visual Studio Code for those that are using Visual Studio, and then we'll create hello.py. Or for those that are using Google Colab, you're going to go to Google Colab and then create your first notebook. So let's go there and do that. Let's go there and do that. So for me, I'll just start I can start a new window for Visual Studio. Then a new file. Or let me just go. I have a folder already for this. I have a folder called week, but you can create a new file. If you open your Visual Studio Code. Now, if you open a new file, let me see so that maybe, if you open Visual Studio, you'll see this. Then if you click on new file, let's all do this activity. I want to make sure that you're following and doing this as we go on in the class. We're going to start easy, but we're going to do more as we go on. So please open your new file. Then we're going to call that file hello.py. And then if you save the file, it's going to ask you for a folder to save. So for me, I have a folder already. I'll go to my document, 3MTT with Afrilen, week 3. I already have the document here, right? I already have hello.py. So I can, let me just call mine hello world.py. So say.py, then say create file. So it's going to start with this new file. Then for those that are using, let me see now. For those that are using Colab, for those that are using a Colab, so if you go to Colab, you can open a new notebook. You just go to File and New Notebook in Colab, File, New Notebook. Then you have the new notebook here where you can code. You can do this on your mobile phone or on your laptop, anyone. So we're going to use, I'll use this. So yeah, we can write one simple Python code you can just do is print statements. So I'm going to print hello 3MTT. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Let me be sure that you're following. Any questions so far?
No questions, sir. No questions, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, someone said my PC battery shut down. Oh, okay. All right, no problem. You can still watch the video. I just hope this would the recording would be okay. Okay, so you can maybe I should increase my zoom. Okay, so you can do so this file we're going to put just print hello 3MTT, maybe 3MTT Nigeria or whatever. Then if you go to terminal, you can go to new terminal. So this will now open up a command window. The command window, you can use PowerShell or you can maybe go to normal command prompt. Anyone is fine. I like to use PowerShell. But so if you go to, you can use CD. CD is to change directory. I'm using CD now because of where I stored hello.py. Hello.py, if you look at it here, is a document. It's in 3MTT with Afrilen week 3. So that's the folder where I stored it. So I'm going to change to that directory. CD is change directory to documents. You can use tabs to complete documents, 3MTT, tab to complete, then week 3, tab to complete, then enter. So I'm now in the folder where I have hello.py.
Hello, sir. Please, sorry
Yeah.
to draw you back.
No problem.
Mine said user arrow big lion hello world.py.
User what?
So why? That's my own name, but your own user user Israel documents 3MTT week 3.
Okay, that's my
But what?
name, right? Yeah. So it will say your name. This would be your name. This
Yes, user
name.
being
Yes. So
hello world.
Yes. And so when you go to the terminal, you're going to see that if you look at this C here, it already starts user Israel. So I'm already in Israel folder. So now I'm going to change directory so that I will go to this document 3MTT, then week 3.
That one where you wrote LO3MTT, is it LO3MTT where I'm supposed to put?
Yes. You will put print, you put this inverted commas there, then LO3MTT or anything you want to put. Hello, Ayo, hello, Chile, do anything that you want to put there. Then you put it in inverted commas, then close the bracket. So just that should be there. So when you go to the folder to run this, we can just say Python hello world. So Python, then the name of the file, hello world.py. So Python hello world.py would run this command or this code rather. It will run this Python code and then it will output the result to the command line. So what I asked the computer to do is say, please print hello world. So print hello world hello3MTT. So that's why Python printed. So you can mute, please. So you see that's why Python printed hello3MTT. So if you change this to, let's say, hello3MTT Nigeria. Our beloved Nigeria. Yes, hello. You can use up. If you press the up sign on your laptop or whatever, it would go back to your previous command. So you don't have to type everything again. You go up, and if you press it now, you will see that it's updated. hello3MTT Nigeria. So this command here, is running this Python file, what this Python file is saying. So this is just a simple Python code, simple Python syntax. Is that clear? Any questions so far?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't get.
You didn't get what?
LO3MTT Nigeria.
Yes.
Then enter, because before now, I just what you have not been trying to do it on my own. So now what I do is that I have my phone log on, then I'm doing this thing on the system so that I can be watching and be using the system together at the same time. Good, but now, when I have hello Benga, I just use my name. Hello Benga. Yeah. I think initially you put one sign there, sign that looks like an eye facing down. I don't know what. Yes,
exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark.
Yes.
But I'm trying to. But you did no longer put it there any longer.
No, I just so what I'm saying here is that this can be anything. This can be anything you put within inverted commas. So you put this one here. So you can say hello. You can even say, let's say alpha. Nigerian is alpha. You can even say alpha. Anything that you put there, that's what the program would print to the command line.
Then sorry, I will now enter. I will enter after that.
No. Just type print. Leave it. So who is there? Are you the one? Is it your place that has this noise?
No,
please, I have a question.
Sorry, let him finish.
Wait first. Benga, are you the one talking? Is it Benga that's talking now?
I am here now. Yeah, it's Benga now.
Okay, because I want to avoid the noise from the person. Okay, so print alpha. You don't have to put enter or anything. just type your print there, right? Then save this file. So when you save this file, then you go to the folder where that file is, and then you run Python hello, whatever you call it, .py. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you can try that. Try it. So the next question, please.
Good morning, Israel. My name is Shagun.
Okay, Shagun, please go ahead.
Please. I want to ask why. At what point do we need to run Python in the command? In the command prompts,
Yeah.
because usually I use Anaconda or some other studio. Why do we need to come here and run it? What is the usefulness if we can do it elsewhere?
Like, what is the usefulness of running Python in the command line?
Yes, exactly.
So the thing is, so you're saying that you used to run Python in Anaconda. Which Anaconda? Is it Jupyter Notebook or as a Python
Jupyter
file?
Notebook.
Yeah,
Jupyter Notebook.
right? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so now if you run Python in a notebook, usually you're just using notebook to test things. Maybe you run a function, you do exploratory data analysis and all that, like what we did last week. So you can use notebook to really run and view your results directly on a notebook. So it can enhance readability. But when you want to build models and then deploy, like maybe something that they're going to use in the computer, or let's say, for example, you help GT Bank to predict credit card fraud, like we talked about last week. If you help GT Bank to predict maybe debit card fraud, then GT Bank is going to need that as a .py file, not as a Python notebook. So when you give GT Bank that as a .py file, then usually when they are calling that file or that API that you've created, they are going to call it from the command line. So they're going to send instructions to the command line, then to run that file and then return the results. Okay. Is it clear?
Okay, thank you very much. It's clear.
Yeah.
Please, how did you run it again?
So to run it, we're doing Python. So you go to the folder or go to the folder where this thing is. So you get to the folder using CD, this.
How do I get to the folder, sir?
See, what folder did you save it in first?
Okay, I'm still at print alpha. So all these ones below, they are yet to come out.
No. So you've done this, right?
I've done that.
Then have you opened a terminal? Have you gone here? You go to open terminal, new terminal.
Okay, run. I have run. Okay, run.
No, terminal. You go to terminal.
Okay, terminal.
Then
Yes.
you click new terminal.
Okay. Yes.
So when you go to new terminal, you're going to see users, then your name.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if you see your name there, then you're going to go to CD, go to the folder where you stored hello.py.
Oh, I will type CD in front of it.
Yes, CD space, then you type this. So CD is change directory space. If it's document, you stored it in, you put docu, then you can press tab to complete it. So you press tab, it will complete this for you. So it's not completing it now for me because there's no document within this folder. Right. Okay, just do that. Then yeah, someone else has a question.
Yes, sir. For the collab, it said that it brought an error where it said that the name print is not defined when I just used print hello. So
print hello, say print is not defined.
yes.
Yes,
separate
mine.
is not defined.
Did you use
Said the name print is not defined.
Is it .py?
No, I didn't. But like, since it's not VS Code, like I just created a new notebook and then I typed print.
No. Sorry.
Print hello.
Sorry. Let's go to. Let me go to your notebook. So you're saying that you're using a notebook like this, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, good. So if you go to the notebook, you just use print. Let's say, hello
world, what I wrote.
Alpha, right? You put this.
Yes. Yeah.
Then if you press print, if you play it,
Yes.
You played it. Let me see what it will say. So it doesn't say
Yes, it doesn't say this. It says
what
the name
print?
print is not. It says the name print is not defined. That's what it said.
So okay,
That's
so
the error.
What was your syntax? Your syntax.
Hello? Hello, good
That's
morning.
the syntax. What he typed was exactly what I typed too.
no,
You
it's
did
this.
not
Yeah.
do it
Same thing
well.
with smile.
You did not do it
Hello,
well.
good
If you
morning.
do it well, you correct
Wait,
it.
let's clarify this so that we can move on. Sorry,
Hello.
yes, one person at a time. Is it Toy
Yeah,
that's
this
talking?
story. Yeah, this
Okay.
story.
Yeah.
I think the problem he's having is you should check his cap log. Maybe the print is in capital letter, the P.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
I
True.
told them yesterday that can give you an error. Maybe the
Yeah.
P is in capital letter. You should change it to small letter. That will solve
Okay.
the problem.
So is that the case?
Yes, that is the
That's
case.
the case. Okay.
No.
They didn't say that.
That's why I
on
say it's your syntax. How you write
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So you have to use small letter P, not a capital letter P, please. Yeah, thank you for that. So use print, then so you observe that while we are trying to run, when you write on, when we write the code on, sorry, let me just close this. Okay, so when we write the code on Python here, on Hello World here, right? We need to go to the command line to run it, but you can just carry that code, copy it, and go to your notebook. For those that are using notebook, please just put it on your notebook and then run that cell. So if there's any issue with it, make sure you check your syntax, like Teide said. So check your syntax because that's what we're doing right now, looking at the syntax. So we've done that class activity. So let's continue. Let's continue. If you have any errors, for those that can attend the physical class, still attend, or you can still ask, or you go through the video to make sure you understand. Want to make sure that as much as possible, you guys are running it and learning along. Okay, so I think we were able to solve those issues just now. But let's go to the next one. Now, another thing that Python has is comments. So we'll just run through this. We may not do the class activity. Comment starts with the hash symbol. Python ignores lines of code that have this hash. So you can include hash comments in your code to increase the readability, to help people understand your code better. So we can add a comment to that hello world file. Let me just go there and do this. Let me just go there and do it. We can add a comment. Let me add a comment here that this is my first comment. So if you add a comment, you save it, and then you run hello world again, you'll see that Python does not read that comment, doesn't do anything with it, because it knows it's just a comment that you're adding there. It's just a comment. It's just a comment. Okay. Okay, so it's just a comment. Let's go back to, for those that have notebooks, if you go here and you put a comment, this is my first comment, and you print it, you'll see that Python only prints alpha. Okay, so let's go on. So the next thing, variables. We talked about variables in the last class. So variables are like containers for storing value. So storing data value. So if you have a data and you want to store it in a particular variable, there are ways to do that in Python. So a variable is created once you assign a value to it. In some programming languages like Java, Visual Basic, you have to, and C also, I think, you have to declare the variable type. You say maybe this variable will only take integers, but Python's variable declaration is dynamic. So it just, once you assign a value to a variable, then that variable is created. You can also check the type of a variable by using type, then the variable name. Okay, so let's see different Python data types. So the different Python data types, you can have text which are called strings, stro. Numeric types are integers, floats, then complex numbers. Though these ones that are in bold, we're going to look at that more But I think for now, we'll look more on lists. We'll not look at tuples or dictionaries. So sequence types, lists, tuples, these are the different kind of Python data types that you can get. So let's just talk about first Python numbers. So talk about Python numbers, then we'll do a class activity. So Python numbers, you have like integers. We said integers are like whole numbers. So whole numbers are like positive or negative numbers. And so whole numbers, for example, can be number of students, number of fruits. Oh, sorry. Number of students, number of fruits. Let me see. Where's my... So number of fruits. Then floats can be numbers that have decimals. So this can be height, weight, cost, price. Your height can be 190, but your height can also be always disturbing the class. Please mute. Okay, please mute. I'll soon ask a question. So integers are like whole numbers, number of students, number of fruits. Float numbers are like numbers with decimals. Like integer, like if students cannot be 1.5 students, right? A person cannot be half. So you have whole numbers there. But floats, you can have like heights. Height can be 19.5 centimeters or meters or whatever. Weight can be 120.5 kg. Those kind of weights can also 120 just kg like that, right? So who can give us an example of an integer or floats? What are some numbers that you know if you count it, it will only be integers? There's something that can be float numbers too. Someone wants to help us?
Integer, let's say dozen.
Integer.
Let me see. Wait, let me see. Okay, Taiwo said what? You count number of cars. Yeah, you count number of cars. So we get integer whole number. Omotayo want to help us?
I mean, integer, dozen. When we mean dozen,
Dozen.
it is 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What about the floats? Who can help us? Some example of float.
Temperature.
Temperature, okay, good. Okay, so temperature can be float numbers too. So let's go now to do the activity here. What is that?
That's Nafisa.
Nafisa, what did you say?
I said percentage can be a float.
Can be a float number. Good, good. Thank you very much. So percentage can be a float number too. So let's combine two activities. We'll combine this activity with the next. Okay, no, let's do this activity first so that we're not rushing. The class activity for this is to assign an integer to a variable and float a variable, and then we'll confirm the data type. So we'll go to our hello world file. We go to our hello world. Let's say we want to assign x equals, let's say the number of cars is equal to 10. That's an integer. Then we say the height is equal to 12.67. That's a float number. So let's print to the command. Let's say type of number of cars. You can use tab to complete it. Then let's print the type of the height. You can also use tab to complete it. So let's run this now and see what Python gives us. So you see that it says the class of this is, or let's make it is, no, okay, let's not go into that. I want to write a string, but let's not go into that. So the class of this number of cars is integers. We see that here, int, that's Python integer. Then we see the class of this height is a float, that's Python float. So you can try that on your end. Try that. Let's try it and see. Then let's go to the next one. So the next part is Python strings. Python strings. So strings are like comments, text that you can Strings are like comment or text that are used in Python. So you can make it either you can surround them with double quotation marks or single quotation marks, right? So you can surround them with double quotation marks or single quotation mark. So hello world, for example, that we did just now, we're using a string, and that's why we use double quotation and then single quotation, okay? Double quotation and single quotation. Then you can assign, you can also assign a multiple, you can also assign a multi-line string. We're going to try that. Multi-line string to a variable by using triple quotes. We use triple quotes for assigning multi-line strings. So the class activity for this is to assign a string to a variable X and assign a multi-line string to another variable called instruction. And then we're going to print that to the command line. Maybe we should do that in, okay, we'll do that here and we'll also do it in a notebook. Okay, so we'll do that here and we'll also do that in a notebook. So let's go to X and just a simple quote of, let's call it hello world, like we did, hello world. Then we're going to print X. So because this variable, this string now is assigned to X, this variable X, we can print X. We don't need to say, oh, print hello world, right? We just print X. Then let's look at instruction. Sorry. Instruction. We said we can use triple line, triple quotation mark. So if we use triple quotes, Python, VS Code automatically completes the other part, right? So if you type here, you can make a multi-line. This is the 3MTT class. Ensure you complete your attendance. So that's a double line. And then we can say, let's print instruction to the command line. We print instruction. Let's see. Now we can run it. So we have hello world. The previous ones we had there. Then you have, this is 3MTT class, ensure you complete your attendance. Okay. So let's take this to the notebook also. Let's do it in the notebook. Where is our notebook? The notebook has appeared. Okay. Okay. So this is our notebook here. Let me zoom in a bit so that hopefully you can see that. Okay, so if you copy this here, let's remove this one. The first we did just now, you can print. Or let me do this. If you use Shift Enter to generate a new cell for you automatically.
So using the phone, how do you generate a new cell?
Okay, if you use the phone, you have to click on code. Maybe if you check, if you see up there, if you just go, you highlight this. If you highlight this cell, if you go above, I think above or below it, you will see code. So you can add a new code on that. Yeah. So if you print this and run it, hello world. If you do this instruction, print this stuff here. Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me put this slash. Let me see. Okay, just print that. Oh, yes. Okay, so yeah, so you can use multi-line with triple quotes. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Yes, so I have a target of where we should get to today. Okay, so the next one are Booleans. We talked about Booleans in the last class. Booleans are expressions for getting true or false. So it's either true or false. That's what a Boolean is. It's like a binary number. It's either 0 or 1, right? So it's usually used to compare two values. So for example, you can say, Python, please print 10 less than 11. And Python returns true because 10 is less than 11. So that Boolean expression there, that Boolean expression there returns either true or false. It's usually applied in building conditional statements, right? So conditional statement, we'll get into that just after this. You can test different Boolean expressions. Let's just do that in the notebook. Can test different Boolean expressions. You can say print 10 less than 11, print true. You can print is 10 equal to 100. So using one equality sign is it's an assignment, a variable, but if you use double equality, then Python will know that this is a Boolean expression. You're trying to compare two variables. So print, say false because 10 is not equal to 100. You can use print 10 is greater than 5 to say true. Print, say true. I'm using shift equal to, yeah. So let's, so you can say print, let's say 10 is equal to 10. Shift enter, says true. Okay, so these are basic Boolean expressions, right? You can see more Boolean expressions here. More comparison operators, rather. I can use them to compare equal to, not equal to, not equal, you put exclamation mark before equality, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and so on. So let's take a breather. Let's pause here. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, are you trying it? Are you testing this? Okay, Chiji. Chiji, are you there? Okay, Benga, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Benga, can you check for print 10 is not equal to 5 on your own platform? Are you running this?
I'm actually not running it. My intention is that after the class, I will do it again so that I will not, so that the class will not be slow because of me. So I will do it again. Then I will contact Toib too.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So, Ifeanyi, are you there? Okay. Isikan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'll do the practical after the class because I don't have access to do it right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. So we're just going to keep going so that you guys will go back and then do this. Okay.
I'll run everything. It's okay.
Okay. So yeah, we'll talk about the tutorial groups maybe after this also. Okay, so the next part there is Python lists. So lists are used to store multiple values. So you want to keep multiple things that sometimes maybe they are similar or sometimes not necessarily similar, but you want to store items in a single variable, then you have to store them as lists. Lists are one of the 4 built-in data types for storing collection of data. So I say we'll only focus on lists for this introduction to Python. But you also have like tuples, you have sets, and then dictionaries. Lists are created with using square brackets, simple square brackets. So I'm just going to do the activity for that. Like the last time, I think we used a list of fruits. So let's just use that again for this activity. So you're going to, let's call it fruits is equal to, we use the oranges. We use banana. We use let's say mango. And now fruits, right? So these fruits, list, you can also index list. We said for Python, the index starts from 0. So if you want to print fruits 0, right, you're going to be printing oranges. If you want to print fruits, fruits 1, it's going to print banana, right? So you can print this. Let me show you one. You can print fruits 2, that will give you mango. But you can also print the last item by fruits. You can print with -1. So -1 will print the last item on any list, -1. Usually helpful in Python. If you don't know the length of a list, for example, you just print the last item by -1, right?
Sorry, sir. Why is it -1?
It's just a Python syntax. So it's minus the last one. So you can't use 0. If you use 0 to print this, so if you're going to count from the back, you're going to start with -1, -2, -3, like that. But if you're if you're going forward in Python, you count 0, 1, 2. But if you want to start counting from the back and the last item, use -1, not -0, 0. 0 will just print this, would print the first item here, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So -1, -2, like that. Okay, so let's print that and see. Let's run this query now. Let's run this hello world. So you see that 0 it prints oranges, 1 print banana, mango, and then -1 it prints mango again. So we can clear this. Let me just type clear here. I hope I typed it correctly. Okay, clear will just clear the command line for you. Okay, so we have that. We can also do that on you can run this also on your notebook for those that are using Colab. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to look at Python conditional statements. So we talked about some conditional operators, comparison operators that you use for getting Boolean, right, to know if it's true or false. So usually in programming or even in building your machine learning models, there are many times where you're going to use conditions. Say if this particular car or this particular item is within a particular cluster, or if this value is greater than 100 or anything like that. If you are going to use a condition, then you are going to use Python conditional statement. And it's as simple as creating an if else block. So we're going to just spend some time on this because it's very important. So equal sign is, if you're checking if A is equal to B, you're going to use double equal like we said just now. If you're going to check if A is not equal to B, you're going to use the exclamation mark here. Then if you're going to check if A is less than B, it's just simple like mathematics, A less than B. Less than or equal to, you're going to add equal to that. Greater than or A greater than or equal to B. Just easily done like that. Okay. So just easily done like that. So the conditional statement 2. Okay, so the first conditional statement we talked about is you can use if condition 1 in Python block. Use if condition 1, you do something. Else if condition 2, you do something else. Then else at the final block, you do the final thing there. So I'm going to go, let me see. I think some people are distracting the class. Okay. Okay, so if you go into the next, so this is a simple like flow chart to show, this is a simple flow chart to show Come in, please. So this is a simple flowchart to show an if-else block. So if you test this expression, if it's true, it's going to do something here, this body. But if it is false, it will go and do the next statement, something else, right? If it's false, then it would end here. So that's an if-else block. There's also if, else if you have multiple conditions. If you have multiple conditions, you test an expression. If it's true, you do this. Then if you test an expression and it's not true, you are going to do what's on the else block before rounding up this statement, right? So let's do a simple if-else block. I think we did some of that last time, but let's do it here. So our if-else block would be, let's say, if 5 is greater than 2, right? You tell it to print 5 is greater than 2. 5 is greater than 2. Else, print 5 is not greater than 2. So let's see what the Python will do for us. Say Python hello world. So it says 5 is greater than 2 here because it tested this and it was true. So because this is true, it's going to print 5 is greater than 2. Let's check 5 if 5 is greater than 10, which we know it's not true. So it's going to print 5 is not greater than 10. Let's change this. So let's check that. So you see that there it says 5 is not greater than 10. Okay. Any question about this simple if-else block?
For you to, on this VS Code, after making changes or typing in a command, how do you do it that it displays the result? Is it you save, right?
Okay, when
No,
when I type this, you mean when I type
when you type a command and you want it to display the result?
Okay, so after you've typed this code here, hello-world.py, you save it, right? Then you go to that folder where this hello world is. Then you're going to call Python hello-world.py or hello.py, whatever you call that file. Then you just press enter. If you enter that command, then it will return your answer there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. So it will return your command. Okay. So
Hello, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yes.
That is where I am.
Who is it your background that noise is coming from?
No, it's not my background.
Okay, continue.
Can you come again with the explanation you just made? Because I think that was where I got stuck. Like how to get to the interpretation. After typing print, this is not this is not greater. What
confirm from other people. We no come say
who is that?
One with two, they will come complete abeg.
Who is that one? Cage iPhone. Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, I said, can you come again with what you just explained for the person that just asked question now? That after typing print 5 is not greater than and have it, how will you get the answer?
This output here?
Yeah, how to get that output? Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we have here, hello world, right? So you would have saved this Python file in a particular folder, right? Have you saved it? So when you save that Python file in a folder, so you have to go to that folder here on your terminal. Have you opened the terminal also?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the folder?
I have PC user Bengala CD. That's where I am.
Okay. So where is the hello world? Do you know the folder where hello world is? Where you save the hello world?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't saved it
Maybe
earlier.
let him where he is. Okay. Let him print the directory that he is. Maybe it might like PWD.
No, if you print PWD, it's going to print this current directory. It's going to print. It will print the current directory that you can see here already. Except you. So what you can do also is this. So what you can do, you can drag the file here. It will give you the directory.
Okay.
Right. So you just drag the file down here. It will give you the directory. Then you can cd to that directory.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to
okay.
check.
What I have now.
Mm-hmm.
Bengala /hello-world.py.
Okay, so that means your hello-world.py is saved just here. It's saved on Bengala, right? It's saved there, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do then is just to run the Python hello world on that place where you are. Just delete anything you have there.
Okay.
Then just do hello world.py, Python hello world.py, then press enter, it should run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that would run it. That would run the code. Let's clear this. Okay, so we said you can have multiple, you can have multiple if block also. You can have multiple if blocks. I'm going to put this Python file in the folder on Google Drive. Because so this, let's say we have if 5 is greater than 10, print 5 greater than 10. Else if, so you can have another block, else if 5 is greater than 2, right? Print 5 is greater than 2. Else print do not. Okay, so let's see what it will print now. It says, sorry. So it's printing, sorry, this first one. So what can we do to make Python not run this code? What can I do here? Look at help us. What can I do to make Python not run this code? Because it's confusing us here. What did we say about?
You put comment, you put comment.
Yeah, so you make it a comment so that Python will just ignore it. So it's shortcut to do comment on your, I'm not sure it works on phone, but on your laptop, it would be control/. So control// rather. Control// will just make all this line of codes to be comment. So, okay. So for those that are running on notebook, you can look at this. Oh, I didn't give you guys this previous notebook. I was supposed to give you this notebook before. Okay, so for those running on notebook, we did this before, that if x is greater than y. So it's just the same thing. If you put the code on a cell block, you just run it. You just run it. Okay, so let's go to this place. So if you run it now, we see it says 5 is not greater than 2. Why did it do that? Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I put 5 is greater than 2. So 5 is greater than 2 because it checked this condition first. 5 is greater than 10. It says no, it's not, it's false. So it doesn't do anything, and it goes to the next block. Else if 5 is greater than 2, say, oh yes, 5 is greater than 2. So it's going to do that action there. So it's going to print it. Else do nothing. So let's check 5 is greater than 1000. So those two statements will be false now. So it's going to do nothing. It's going to do nothing. So those are conditional statements, going to do nothing. So let's go to for loops. For loops. Any questions for that? Is it clear?
So I have question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, we're doing if, elif, else.
Yes.
Okay. At what state can one bring in that elif?
Yeah, so elif is when you have more than one conditions to test. More than one condition to test. So once you are going to have another condition, right, then you would do let's create an example and see. Let's create an example, a simple example like this. Let's just say there's a condition, right? Let's say you are trying to categorize several students into kindergarten, primary school, or senior secondary. So let's say age is 5 years, for example, and you can call age anything. So we're assigning a value 5 to age. So you say if age is less than 4, print the student is kindergarten. Right? But then, else if we want to categorize the student now to be in primary school. So let's say primary school is between 4 years to 15 or let's say 16 years old. Primary school, let's say 10 years. Let's say 10 years. So you're going to use two conditions now. You say age. If age is greater than or equal to 4, right? You're going to put this in brackets. So I'm getting a complex condition now. And age is less than 11 or less than or equal to 10. Let's say less than or equal to 10. Then it should do something. Say print the student is primary.
Primary.
Yes. Good. It's in primary school. Right. Then let's say once the student is outside this age range, say else the student is in secondary school.
Secondary school.
Yes. Okay. You can even go further and say, oh, what if you want to say, oh, a student age is between 10 to 20, secondary school, then before. So you can also use another elif, right? Let's just run this one and say, oh, this student age is 5 years. So the student is supposed to be in primary school. Let's see what Python will say. It said the student is in primary school. Because it checked the student's age is not less than 4, so it's not in kindergarten. The student's age is between 4 and 10 because it's greater than 4 and less than 10. So it says, this student is in primary school. So it does that. Let's make the student 20 years and see. 20 years, what does it do? Say this student is in secondary school. So depending on the definition of the problem, you can create several conditions. But once it's more than one, that's when you would use elif. Okay? Okay. Yeah, good question. So, okay. So the next one now, another interesting kind of Python code is loops. So you have for loops when you want to repeat something. So when you are going to repeat something many times, multiple times, you're going to use a for loop. There's also while loop, but we would focus more on for loop. Usually for loops will do what while loops can do. So we're going to run like for this for loop, for example, the fruits that we just created, the fruit list. Let's say we want to print everything inside fruits. You're going to say for fruit in fruits, print fruit, right? So we're going to do write a simple loop and see what that gives us. Then we'll go to functions and classes. Okay, so let's say we had fruits before. Let's go back there. Like you see, for example, when we want to print all the names in all the fruits inside fruit, we're going to print fruit 0, fruit 1, fruit 2, fruit. minus one, all that. But instead of doing that, you can just say for fruits in fruits. So this is how Python syntax is to for in a for loop. So a for loop is for either a list or an array. So let me not call array now so that you don't get confused. But a for loop can be used for either a list, a tuple, all of these different data types that have multiple values, that store multiple values in them. You can use a for loop to just iterate or run through that data type. So let's print all the values in list using a for loop. So just say for each fruit, notice that this fruit is different from these fruits, right? Or let's just say for X, no need to call it fruit. You can call it anything, X in fruits, but it's that X that you're going to use in your loop to say, okay, print that X, print that X, print that X, print that X. So let's make all of these things comments. Let's make this a comment, control /. Let's make these other ones comments also, /. So we'll just know that when after it prints this, we're going to see this printed also. So Python hello world. So it first printed the one that we did one by one, mango. Then it now printed the for loop on just once, you see? So all of this 4 lines of code, we just did it with 2 lines of code. For X in fruits, print X. So for loops are really powerful and important. Sometimes though they can be, depending on, as you go on in program, they can be time wasting, but then they are very useful when you want to repeat things. Okay, they're very useful. Any question about for loops? So for loop just goes through the list or go through the tuple or whatever you give to it. And once it gets to the, once it runs all the final statement, until it gets to the last item and says, oh, I've gotten to the last item, then it exits the loop. It exits the loop. Let's use a for loop and a condition statement. Let's use a for loop and a conditional statement. Let's say we're going to print X, right? When we run through this loop. Let's say if X is equal to banana, right? If it's equal to banana, let's say banana is the second item, right? If it's equal to banana, then break this loop. You can use break. Break is a Python keyword. There are keywords in Python to do certain things. So a Python keyword that helps you break out of a loop. So it helps you break out of a loop. So if that means if once it gets to banana, this loop would stop. It will stop running. It just breaks it there. Let's see what will happen. Let's see what happens here. Let's run it and see. So let's run hello world. So you see that, okay, let's remove the other one. Let's just remove this other one first. So you see that it got to oranges, right? And then it stopped. It just print orange, and when it saw banana, it just broke out. So let's say you have a long list and you just want to get up to maybe the second term or something. You can just break out of that loop instead of running out through the loop. Once you get what you want, you stop there. Or you can also say, okay, if you get up to this part, I don't want to do anything, just continue. So if it sees banana, it will continue to the next thing and not do anything. Let's see that also. So it prints oranges. It got to banana, continued. So it didn't execute this print statement and it just went to mango, right? So it was running through the loop. It goes X, it got to oranges first. Okay, what do I do? Is this a banana? No. It said, okay, I'll print it out. It goes again. Oh, get to banana in fruit. Is this a banana? Yes. So it continues. It doesn't print. It just continues from here and goes back to the loop. Say, okay, it's X in it's mango in fruit. Is mango a banana, it says no. It says no, so it doesn't do this. It just prints mango, and then it goes, okay, have I gone to the last item on this list? It says yes, and then it exits the loop, right? So you can use break, you can use continue, and that's how you use loop in programming. Any comment? Okay. Okay. Yeah, so Ifeanyi, please. Ifeanyi. Young's is raised. Everyone can see Ifeanyi's hand raised. Okay. Okay, let's go to functions then. Any questions so far? I'm thinking that the maximum time that okay, sorry, go ahead.
The for loop too, does it have like an else condition to it?
What?
The for loop.
What do you mean X condition?
Like when you're doing if else now.
Okay,
Like
okay.
else.
No. So the if else is just for conditions. So the for loop is just okay. Let me see what you're saying. Let me get so for loop here, you're saying if we had if here, if we can put else here, right?
No, sir. Like the else outside with the for loop.
Okay, no. For loop is just for, then yeah, so it just repeats something, it doesn't do anything else. Yeah, so if you want to put a condition of if and else, you have to attach that to the for loop. That's why we have if x equals this here, then do this. You can also make this if have else if or anything, right? But for loop is just for, no other block in for loop. There are some programs where if you have for loop, then you have to put, I think when I do VW, you have to end it, end. So some programs have end to the for loop. MATLAB, I think, also has that. But Python doesn't have anything to end it, no else. Yeah. Chidi, your answer is?
Yes, okay. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Does Python also have a nested loop? That is like after the first loop, if the answer, if it can also process the answer again. Like if it's yes, process this again, and then can that work in Python?
Yes, you can have that. Yeah. You can have that. Let's see. Maybe I don't know if I have some time to do that. Let's see an example. So in Python, like let's say in this when we're talking about loops just now, we said you can even run through a list, a string also, right? So you can also loop through a string. You can also loop through a string. So these are fruits, these are table, these are fruits list here. It has strings. So let's say for each string, we want to print the letters also. Want to print the letters there. So let's say for X in front, print X. So print X first. Then for letter in X, print that letter. Let's print that letter. Print letter. So that's a nested loop. So this loop, I don't know why I'm pressing this. This loop, then this loop would run inside this loop. So let's see what Python does for us. So you see, when it gets to oranges, it prints oranges. Then it will now go through oranges and print all the letters. 0, R, A, N, G, S, like that. Banana, it prints all the letters within banana also. Mango prints all the letters. So that's a nested loop. Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry, that's an AI generating. So this programming, AI generating comment for this function. Okay. Anyways, that's not important for this class. Okay. Okay, so is it clear?
Yes, sir. I want to ask a question.
Please go ahead.
Like for that loop, That for loop, yes. Like you were giving us an example of iterating over like a sequence. So I like we have a sequence. Back to the example, sir.
Yeah. This.
Okay, like we have those fruits. Then let's assume I want to see the list.
Okay, the list, yeah.
So we have oranges, we have banana, we have mango. So let's assume maybe because of the use of the break that you said we should use, then we want to iterate. So now we are searching for a banana. And then if it finds banana, it should break. So at an instance that we say, okay, after searching, and then there's no banana at all, maybe going through, then we want to print no banana found.
Yes.
Yes, something like that. How can we be able to?
You want to print no banana found? Okay,
yes.
That's an interesting problem to solve. So let's think. You can think of it in several ways, right? So we say, let me see. We say if x is equal to, don't just now say if x is equal to banana, right? We would break out of the loop, right?
Yes, sir.
Else, you can do several things. There can be several ways to do this, but I'm just thinking of the easiest way now we can do it. There may be easier ways to do this in Python. But I'm just thinking of the easiest way to do this now. We're going to say else. We can create a variable where we are counting the number of items it has checked. So once that number of items equal to the number of items in this list, and there was no break at all, then we'll just print out, we'll print out that statement that you want to say, oh, there was no banana in this list, right? Does that logic make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. So we need a variable to count how this loop is running. We need a variable to count how this loop is running. So let's create that variable outside the loop. Let's say count equals 0. So anytime it goes through that loop and it doesn't see banana, it's going to count equal to count plus 1. Count equals to count plus 1. Or how you can also do this in programming, you can say count plus equals 1. Count plus equals 1. Sorry. But I don't like doing this. It's not, if you look at it, it's not too readable. So usually better if you just specify equal count plus 1. Though I've not tested which one is faster. So count equals count plus 1. So we're going to be counting anytime we go through the list. We're going to be counting. If you don't break, we count. Then once it's done with that loop, we're also going to check, okay, is count equal to, if count is equal to 3, we know that the loop is 3, right? We're going to talk about built-in functions in the next class, built-in functions. There's one built-in function, though, to know the length of a list. You can, is len, L-E-N. You can use to know the length of a list. That's the number of items in that list, right? It's going to give the length is 3, right? So we're going to print there is no banana here. Okay, there's no banana here. So let's remove the other things first. Okay, so this one has banana, right? So this would not print, but let's check it. Let's check. Let's see. Okay. I don't know why this thing comes out when. Okay, let me clear this. Sorry. So it didn't print anything, right? You see? Okay. Let's print this one before we break. Print banana found. Okay. So it says banana found because when it got to one point, it saw banana there. But let's change this to avocado, something else. Let's change it now. So now it's going to check and say, oh, it got to that count of 3 and it says, oh, there's no banana here. There's no banana here. Hope that makes sense.
Very well, sir. Very well. Why I'm asking is because when we're also checking, going about, I saw a place that they use the 4 with else. So that's why yes, that was why I was trying to. But this makes sense also.
Yeah.
Like that 4-2 is having an else, like that else can now be used in that place. So that if there's no break, whenever it encounters no break and the loop runs successfully, the else will always come to pass. So the else, the way it works is not like the part of the if.
Yeah.
Like the way it works with if. So the else there works if there's no break in the 4. So I tried, yes. So that was why I was asking. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this for loop is going to iterate, but this else block here is for this if, right? So you see the beauty of Python indentation. So each indentation is telling you what is under this block of code. So this for loop here, everything that is under it is going to be indented. You're going to have a space, 1 tab space under it. So all of this thing is under this one, for loop, right? So everyone take note of this. Everything that you want this if block to run, you're going to indent it and you create that space also. You see that tab there? This one is running under this. Else, this. So all this else is under this if statement, right? Then if this, you also create this tab here and do this one here also, right? So all of these things that we have indented, that we have created space, they are under this for loop, right? Yeah, just saying that it's a for loop does not have, like, you cannot say for this, else.
Can we try this thing?
You can't do else here. Else, let's say else, print.
Like, yeah,
else, print this is else for loop. I don't know any program that has this. Maybe C has it by that. So if you do,
I've seen it in Python, but I don't know.
Okay,
Sir?
let's see.
This side you put this is else for.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Seems like the answer. I've never used it though.
Yes, it works if there's no break. If there's no break with the 4, then the S inside here now will now execute.
Oh, okay. That's funny. This is the first time I've seen it, frankly speaking. Okay, so this else is for the if, right? Then this else is for the for. So that's why it's outside this for loop. Okay, so this is else for the for loop. Interesting. All right. Okay, so you can use the else for, but usually where you see else is for where you see else usually is for if and else block. Okay. All right, so let's go to the next one I want us to quickly touch before we close today. It's the Python functions. So Python functions. So a Python function is a block of code that you run when it is called, right? It's only run when it is called. So you have to call it to run it. And you can pass parameters to that function also, right? So the function may not return anything, or you can make it return a data or an output. So that's why Python functions would usually have return statements. So when you write the function, you're going to put return at the end of it. They are defined by the keyword def. So define, then you put the name of your function, anything you want to call the function there. Then, like I said, information can be passed as arguments to the function. So let's write a simple function to add 5 to a person's age. Let's write a simple function to add 5 to a person's age. Let's see. So we said functions can be defined with what def. So I'm going to write def. Let's call age increase. Let's call the function age increase. Then Now you can define the parameters you want to pass to that function. The parameter I want to pass is the person's age. Okay. So functions, you define it, you give the function a name, then in the bracket after that name, you are going to indicate the parameters you need for that function. Okay. So the parameters now are is age. So let's say we're going to add new age is equal to age plus 5. So I'm going to add age 5 years to that person's age. And then this function will return the new age. So this function is to increase the person's age. We define age, and then this new age will be age plus 5, and then we're going to return that new age. We're going to return that new age. So this function here has a return statement. This function here has a return statement. So let's apply this function. So to apply this function, you're going to...
You go and watch your phone.
Let me see. Let me see. I think so. Hello. Hello, what? We're going to use age increase. Oh no. I don't know if I can add parameters directly from here. Let me try. Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me close this. It's running all the other items here. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to make it simple. Please, can you mute? Let me make it simple first. So age increase. I'm going to just make this a comment first. No return here. Let's use print. Okay, so print, because yeah, so print this function is for adding a new age to adding 5 to your age. So let's call this function and see what to do. So Python hello world age increase. Why is it not working? Okay, maybe. Oh my, this should work. Not sure why it's not working. Okay, let's do this on the notebook. So sometimes working with functions or command line can be, even passing parameters, we may need to do some more tweaking. So let me just go back to this place. Let's do it here. So back to the notebook, guys. See, we thought we left it before, we're back. So let's use this function here. So this function, age increase, right? So we're going to define this function here. So we can call age increase. We can call age increase, and run the function. So if you run that function, it's going to print out it's going to it's going to run the code within that function block. But you see that when I ran the function, when I loaded this function into Python, it there was nothing done, right? Until I call the function. But when I call the function, I have to put this bracket, brackets within it. So because these brackets, you would use that to take in the parameters. So we're going to improve this function now. So this function is for adding 5 to your age. So let's improve this function now and add the parameters. Let's add the argument. The argument we said is age. And then new age equals to age plus 5. So we're going to return new age. So we're going to return new age. right? So if you return new age here, you say age increase. Age increase, let's say you want to increase the person's age is 5. So when you're calling age increase now, you're going to specify this argument. If we call it the way we did before, it will return an error because it says missing one argument, age. So this did not have any argument here. That's why we could just call it. But now this has an argument, which is age. So we're going to have to put the age, the value of the age, which is 5 or 10 or whatever it is. When we run it now, it will now return the value of the new age, which is 10. So because it's returning a statement, it's going to print it out. It's going to print it out that so that you don't have to use a print statement for this return value. So if you say it's 15, you're going to print 20. 25 is going to print 30. So it's just going to take that age, add a value to it, and then print it out. Okay, that's a simple function. There may be more. We may need to define. So if we want to do that in this place, we may need to define a main function. We may need to define a main function to call that. So I don't want to do that now. Any questions? Any question for this? Any question about functions? Okay. Are you guys still here? It seems like the class starts to peak around 1 hour 30 minutes. It seems people start getting tired after like 1 hour 30 minutes or so.
No,
Are you
it's
guys
not that
still?
we are here. It's not that we are tired. We are trying to follow the functions.
Yes, we are here.
We are here.
Okay. Okay, let's work together. Let's yeah. But we are going to round up soon. We're going to round up. This is the last part. So this last part, you guys may do it as homework or something. But it's a classes. So classes are like, it's very important because I noticed this was where I think Taide was raising it in the last class that we should go through these things because it looks like some people were having difficulty understanding when we're doing Panda, some people are having difficulty understanding square bracket, curly bracket for circular bracket for calling some functions within pandas, right? So it's important to understand classes. So a class is like an object constructor. So you use a class to create an object to do some things, right? So objects would help you achieve some certain things that are like methods. Like let's say, for example, we want to create, let me see, is it okay now? Let's say, for example, you want to create an object that would represent a person. Let's say every person you have, or let's look at this. Okay, your assignment will be a car. Now, let's say every person you have, or every student you have within a particular school, the student will have a name, an age, a class or something, what's a particular class they are in. So you can use a class to create that object and then define the properties of that student, right? So a class is used to create Python objects. Then for the things that you can do within that object are called methods. So methods are created with functions. We would create a class to just make it easy for you guys so that it's not too confusing. But to initialize the class, you first need to create an initialization function, right? To initialize the parameters that you will need for that particular class. So let's create a simple class for defining a person's name, age, and gender. Any questions? But if you watch that Python video, some of these things are really easy. I just started from what we studied in the last class and even the physical class to help us come up to speed and do this function and classes. But next week we may refresh on functions and classes again. Then we'll go into pandas and NumPy. Okay. So for class, let's say we're trying to define. What are we trying to define now? Okay, we say we're trying to define a person with age, name, age, and of my class person with name, age. Please just making a noise. Yeah, the class is reducing. Okay, Ty Olamide. Okay, name, age, and gender. Let's try to wrap up quickly. So within a class, there's a very key method that you must first define. That's to instantiate this class, right? To instantiate this class, say when you define a person, right? When you define a person, you are going to define the name of the person, the class of the person, the age of the person, and then the gender, right? So you can call this my, so when you define the class, let's see. Sorry, I'm missing something here. So you can use self, or there are other terms you can use. You can call it anything, but usually it's self. So this self would store the details of this class. The properties of this class can be stored in self. So it's going to call it self. You'll see how we use self subsequently. But I would ask you guys to please review some of the videos and the lessons we've shared so that you can get this well, so that you can understand some of the pandas, and even when we are doing machine learning, some of the things that we'll do, you need to understand classes to be able to get it. So that I hope I'm not making a mistake here. Sorry, this is an error. Sorry, any questions so far? We're going to define initialize. Any questions here? Any questions? No wonder it was given. Any questions?
Good morning, sir. I'm sorry. Good morning, sir. I'm sorry to attend. I'm sorry to join very late. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Is that water?
Yes, sir. My village people never succeed. They will not succeed in Jesus' name. My laptop backed up. My phone backed up, but God is more than them.
No,
this class, I must finish this class.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. You can go to.
I'm so happy to be here.
All right. Okay, so sorry, there was a syntax error, right? You see that Python was underlining some of the things I put there. So when you define the class, you're going to call class, then you're going to talk about the name of the class. You can call it person, you can call it student, anything that you want to put there, right? So student, let's use student. Then we're going to define a function, this initialization function we just talked about. Then you can put self. So this self will store the details about the attributes of this class, right? Or the properties of this class. So what do you want to define about this student? You want to define the name of the student, the age of the student, and gender. So any student you define, you would give them a name, age, and gender. So let's say self. We said self will store the properties of this class. So it says self.name equals to the name that's provided for that student. Self.age is equal to the age of that student. then self dot gender, sorry, will equal to the gender of that student. So we're going to have these three properties to define this class, this student. Oh, sorry. So let's run this here. Let's run this and let's see how we can use this. So let's say we want to define a student. Let's call the variable of the students S1. Let's just call it S1. You can call it, or let's say we can say, let's call the student John. Let's see. Let me just use small letters, John. Right? Say John. Because so you're going to call you're going to now call this class that we've already defined, which is student. But when you define student, you have to give the person a name. Our student's name is John. You have to give the student an age. Age is 18. You have to give the student a gender. Gender has to be a string, which is male. Right? So John would now have our data here. So this student, so we have defined, notice that we have defined John, we have called him a student, and we have assigned some properties to that student called John, right? So this student called John now, if you want to know John's name, let's see, John.name. Because we said that this self is going to store some attributes of that class within itself. So we're going to check for John now has a name. It's already stored within that class because we just created an object of this class. We said classes are object constructors. So John is the name of our object. So let's check John.name. Say John's name is John. If you want to check John's age is 18. You want to check John's gender. You say John's gender is male. So you see how beautifully all of these properties here were stored within that self, within that object. So if you go to this now, we can also do, let's do female. Let's say,
Sorry, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay, how about you want to call everything at once, not one, the name, the age, the gender. How about you want to call all at once?
Call all of them at once?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not sure. Let me see if you say John. John is the object, so there be a way to do that. Well, for now, let's check. I've not used it before in my experience. I'm not sure if it's possible to call all of them at once, right?
It's also
because sorry, we can't hear you. We're always talking.
I think it can go the way it is up there. Self.name.
Yeah.
That is John.name, John.age, and it will.
Yeah, so you can use that. Yeah, for now, I don't know if we can call everything once. I don't know. But if we check, if possible, maybe we just get all the attributes of that object at once. I doubt, but it's probably possible. I don't know.
The main question is why will you even want to do that?
I know there's a Python way to get know all the attributes of a particular object, but that's like knowing what, if it has name, age, and gender, right? So it will just tell you, okay, this object has name, it has an age, it has a gender, but it will not tell you the actual values. Because you are assigning the values when you create this object also. So let's see if it will print it. So it can print it like this, right? But usually that's why you separated them here, right? So that's a good question about why would we want to call everything once? So you've already separated them. So usually when you're calling it in a program, you're going to call it by the name you already gave that object. Okay. Who asked that question? Who asked the question?
It's the question.
Huh? Okay. Okay, I think it's okay, Sika. Okay, so let's see your name here. Sorry. Female. Let's say students. Let's say students. So you see that this student is different from this student class. So this student is small letters. That's why we can use it. We have like 5 minutes now. So you can see this student's name. You have that and all the other stuff that you have there. Age and gender and stuff. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. Then for this now. Yeah, go ahead, please.
No, it's based on what you are saying, and that I think the only thing is if we can print on the whole directory, that is all. If not, it's not possible. like to print, you print like the directory. What I mean is like the keyword dir, then student. I think that should be able to bring everything that's within that directory.
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
So are you saying something like this? Let's see. I'm coming. Let me check. What is this thing now? Are you saying dir John?
Something like that. Okay, this will only give us the age down there, the attribute age.
Yeah, it just
gender,
tells you the attributes. Yeah, yeah. Right.
That's
It won't tell you the values though. It just tells that okay, you can call age or you can call all these underscore are inbuilt Python functions that you can also call. So if you want to check for the class of John, let's even do that. You can say okay. Sure. Let's even do that. You can say class. So it tells you it's a class of students. This object is from student class. Well, you may not use that sometime, but in rare cases, you would use it. Rare cases, rare cases, yeah. Okay, so let's say we want to define a function to increase the student's age. So this should not be a method within student. So let's use our previous method. Let's just use that one. Define increase age. Let's say we define increase age. We're rounding up now. So the new age of the student will now be, so we're going to use self, right? Self to call this class because we're going to update an object of this class. So self, comma, age. So we're going to say, this thing would say, when you send an age to this function here, it's going to increase self.age by 5. So self.age now add 5 to it, and then you can return that. You may not have to return it though. Usually, no, you don't have to return it. Yeah, you don't have to return it because it's going to be stored in self.age, so you can call it from self.age. So this is now a method within this class for that object. So let's create this class. Let's create John again. Let's create Mr. John. Or should we create Mr. Water now? Or Mr. Teide, which one? Okay, let's create Mr. John. Okay, John.
Yeah, the water.
No, thank you very much. So John is this, right? So John is created now for this student class. We're creating it again so that this new student object can see this method age increase, right? So let's say we already have John.age is 18, right? So let's just say John.age increase. So the difference between this attribute of John and this method within John is that you're going to call it with, you're going to define the parameters of that method. So the parameters here is already asking you is what age are you trying to increase? So let's say his age is currently 18, right? What would happen here? Say this function is for adding 5 years to your age. So if you check John.age now, it's going to be 18 plus what? 5, which is 23. right? John.age was 18. But once we apply this method to John, once we apply this method from John and gave it the parameter it was asking for, which is 18, it now created this 23. So it updated John. It increased his age, right? Yeah. So that's what we're going to stop for today. So we can even do, let's do another one. Sorry, we're going to, it's just for, so define add last name. Let's add last name to John. Self again, dot provide the last name. Provide the last name. So it's going to say self dot last name would now be last name that you provide. So John will now have a last name. So let's create John again so that you see that. Let's now apply that function of last name. Let's say John, please add last name. Let's call his last name Nigeria. So now John is going to have a last name. If you tried that before, John did not have a last name. But let's see, John's last name now is what? Nigeria. John's last name is Nigeria. Okay. So that's programming. That's in programming in Python. I think today's class was easier to understand for many people. We're going to go further in the next class. Any final questions before we close? Any final question? So the week assignment would be, I'm going to send this more details about this, is to create a class for defining cars with properties such as the model, the color, the price, and then you add a method for changing the car price and a method for changing the car color. Okay, just simple assignment you submit on Google. So I'm going to, sorry, this week has been quite busy. I know I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm quite busy. But I'm going to send you guys a Google form to submit your week 2 assignment. Then we're going to create registration numbers and send out your scores for the last assignment. Okay. We don't have much time. If not, we would have reviewed the last assignment, but we're still trying to do a lot of things now. So the upcoming things that we'll be doing in the coming weeks, next week, we'll look at Python built-in functions. We're going to look at pandas for data manipulation, NumPy arrays. Then look at exploration data analysis. I don't know if you can do this much in one class, but built-in functions, they are not so much we're going to look at. Just maybe 2 or 3. Then pandas, we'll look at pandas. No, we'll do NumPy arrays first. Simple NumPy arrays, then do pandas, then we'll start exploration data analysis. Then in the next week, we'll look at framing a machine learning problem. What's even like when a company comes to you and they say, oh, they have an HR problem, or they have, Nigeria say they have an electricity problem or something. How can machine learning help in that case? You're going to think about how you can frame that. Then that would involve business understanding, talking with the stakeholders to really understand what their problem is. We'll talk about that. We'll just discuss on that. Then we'll go into exploration data analysis too. We'll do a deep dive on that. Then we'll do supervised learning part 1 in the subsequent week. That's when we'll go into active. We may do this for like 2 or 3 weeks. Then the other week, just unsupervised. Then that'll be. So this week 4, after week 4, maybe by week 5, we'll start discussing your projects. After we do this framing machine learning problem, we'll start discussing your projects. So that's it. Any questions about this? Okay, then so for the groups, we already have the group how. We're going to add some more people to some groups. Some people did not put their name. So that group list was created from the time when we said you submit your names on Google Sheets, right? The Google Sheet that we used before. So that's where we just organized to get the groups from. So I want you guys to go. I want you guys to, we're going to try to make arrangement for you to meet for tutorials for next week. You can meet within your group. Then after we create the project, you are going to, those groups will have time with me for maybe like 30 minutes, 1 hour. we can have some one-on-one discussions about your project and ensure that everyone is following basically, right? It's very important that everyone gets this. Okay, so that's it for any questions before we round up? Any final question? All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please go
Thank you
ahead.
for the teaching. The question I want to ask is, with the time frame I'm looking at, are we going to meet up, or is only the basic of AI we are knowing? We are not even knowing some maybe half of AI, because with everything we are doing, I know so many people don't know Python, but there are basic questions they are asking, they ought not to be asking, which is taking us back. It's like they are not reading the materials you are sending, or they are not doing any private research on their own end. So with the time frame which we said in March, are we going to meet up with the book of things? That is my own question.
Okay, good question, of course. Good question. So now what we're doing is we're trying not to rush too much, and we're trying not to be too slow also. So because there are different kind of people in the class, and when we did the survey, if you check the survey on WhatsApp, it looks like there are more people that are beginners, right? I think when we did the first class, we discussed generally about machine learning, AI and stuff, but I think during that class, someone was already asking for exploratory data analysis. So I jumped the gun too fast. I went too fast and said, okay, next class, let's just go through brief Python. Then we started doing exploratory data analysis. Then there was an alarm that rang, boom, 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 boom. Like, you're going too fast, right? So that's why we had to backpedal a little and just go gradually with the content that we have, right? So that's one. Then secondly, I think it's a key thing that you said, that everyone should be working and going through the material. If you are struggling, as much as possible, join the physical class so that you can interact with other people and learn from the physical tutor on ground, right? So that we don't get too many basic questions. I think though you would appreciate also that someone in class just now said, oh, I don't want to slow the class down. That's why I'm going to review this later. So I think everyone is doing their best, right? Not so we have to allow everybody to learn together. And I think that thirdly, there's also a tutorial group now where people are going to connect. Hopefully, more people will be able to come up to speed within those small groups, learn from each other, do your project together, and make progress with that. So, because by next week now, we're going to do basic Python again, and exploratory data analysis. You don't want the class to be so that we are running fast, and then at the end of the day, we have just 4 people that learn machine learning, and then the other people are out because they didn't get anything, right? We are taking this time now to build this foundation so that we can carry more people along, carry more people into the promised land, if that's the case. But I encourage everyone to do the hard work to learn, right? This knowledge is truly transformational, because yeah, you never can tell where this could take you to tomorrow. So it's very important that you put in the work. Then finally, I think we can meet the time. We can meet the time. At least today, we studied everything that we set out to study. I think having slides like this helped us also cover the grounds I wanted to cover. So I think we can meet the time. Like if by week 6 we're already in supervised learning and starting your project, then we're trying to. I think we're trying to do this within 12 weeks. I think we can cover grounds within. That's why I try to print the picture so that you see where we are going to. Yeah, so that you see where we are going to. Very soon we're going to study supervised learning. So let's not be discouraged at all. Yeah, I think this foundation is really important. All right, so Walter, I have a question. Okay, so okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you very much, everyone. I think I would. Okay, ask your question. Actually, let's still put this on the recording. Let's put this on the recording.
All right, sir.
Yeah.
All right, sir. I really want to appreciate you. I really want to thank you the way you are giving out this knowledge, the way you are teaching it out. I pray that God will continue to strengthen you. Thank you, sir. Once again, the physical class
Yes.
on Friday, I want to plead with whoever that is sending the message to please always send it on time so that people will, know how to program their days. I mean their schedules. And because this last Friday, I saw I saw a message that we're having a Zoom meeting. I didn't know that. I thought the physical class would be cancelled. It was later I now saw it. I was like, it's already late. So please, I want to plead the physical class. I don't want to miss it. Please.
Okay.
They should be sending the message on time.
Okay.
So that somebody will remember everything.
Yes. Okay, so good question. What we'll just say is everyone should know that the set time for your physical classes would be that 2 p.m. on Fridays. That same location in Ikeja, right? So would remind you, I would encourage them to share the message early. But for sure, your classes are holding, right? If any last minute thing comes up, that's when you may hear a last minute thing. So it's better to just prepare your mind that the class will hold ahead than to prepare that the class will not hold, then the class will not hold. But for now, the class, we've already set it that, okay, you meet there to interact, and also the class will be holding. Then the set time for this also would be your 8 a.m. For now, in a day, in a week where, very unlikely though that I will not be able to join, but in a week where I'm not able to join, then the physical tutor may take the class, right? Because it's 2 a.m. for me actually. It's 2 a.m. for me joining. 2 a.m. It's now 4 a.m. now, so 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. for me. But it's okay. I think so let's just have it in mind. The set time for the class on Saturday is 8 a.m. for now. If anything at all, we may just shift it. Maybe I'm thinking maybe some last Fridays sometimes can be very tedious for me. Last Friday sometimes, so maybe we can put that in the evening your time, right? Evening, maybe 2 p.m. Okay, maybe 2 p.m. But for now, let's forget about that last Friday or anything. For now, the set time for your classes is 2 a.m. Sorry, not 2 a.m. Right? It's 8 a.m. So it's better to prepare that the class will hold than the class will not hold. At least we've been able to hold it in this multiple weeks now. It's 3 weeks now. So be sure that your class will hold rather than thinking to not hold. Okay. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? We're rounding up.
Sorry, sir. Regarding the physical class, is it possible they share a link for those of us that can't attend? Because it's difficult to take permission on if, say, you're going from 2 p.m. That's obviously you're leaving the office by 1.
Well, good point. The thing is about the physical classes, we are trying to encourage as many people to physically interact, right?
Can I add to it, sir? Like the questions we asked, I'm also working, but I sacrificed yesterday because they said the attendance will determine for job placement, which I really need. I've done some programming stuff in the past, but I couldn't get an internship, so which made me to be forgetting some of those things I've learned. But because of that, I sacrificed yesterday. But getting there yesterday, we don't really did much. It was all this basic stuff we still do. So to me, that time I sacrificed was not really worth it like that because of the money I spent and me leaving my place of work. My boss was looking at me somehow. I don't know if I'll be able to make it next week Friday. Why will they use that as a point for those that will be given job placement, which I really need. Why can't they? Because some of us don't have the time, sir. Maybe you can help us to convince them. Because I
Okay.
really need the internship after the stuff.
Okay, I'll answer these two questions. Then I think I would end the recording here. Then, if there are any questions, we can wrap it up. Maybe I'll take one or two more questions. If so, I think that I'm not sure if there's a how do I put it? I'm not sure if there's a set criteria that okay, those that attend classes, everybody that attend class will be the one that will get internship or something. I'm not sure, frankly speaking, right? But I think what you should value more is the knowledge, right? What you should value more is the upgrade to your resume that even yeah, I don't know, like I said, there may be job placements, of course, but if you do your project well and you really have the knowledge, when they are doing interviews, then if you pass the interview or something, you can get the job, right? I don't think that it will just be, oh, those that attend physical class will be the criteria. Maybe, but I seriously doubt that. But in the case that the thing is, the physical classes will help people that come to interact and learn more, right? So for Gabriel, I would say that it's possible that you know Python well already. So maybe these early stages you may skip something. You may not because this first week and next week now, this first 2 weeks, maybe for Python, right? But once we start getting into the machine learning proper, then you can make that sacrifice. If you feel that you already know Python, because there are people that don't know it. There are people that maybe the last time they went there was a struggle to even install on their laptops or something. So they got attention to help them install and all that. So these are the things that we can handle in the physical class. But if you feel like, oh, it's a big sacrifice and you don't learn much there, then just avoid going for this early stage and go at the time when you would really get something, which is when you are not doing your project and the machine learning proper. That's what I would say. I would also I would try to get feedback to see if we can arrange for online meeting, to see if we can arrange for online to join for those that genuinely cannot join, because the idea is to encourage people to interact and learn. But I understand we'll try to I'll get that feedback back to the team to see if we can make arrangement for online joining, so that you also take the attendance that you were there anyway. So I don't know. But please, as we are rounding up, endeavor to fill the attendance. Fidelia just raised that again in the chat. Now we're done with the class, so please fill the attendance and fill the attendance, please. Yeah. So those are the two things I would say. But value the knowledge. If you know the early stages, you can wait for when the thing gets tougher ahead. Like the projection, for example, can be that if I were you, let me advise everyone in the class also. Like Bill Gates said, thinking with the program would improve your thinking. So let's think a little between us. I joined a boot camp one time. So what I observed they were doing is every week they would say, in fact, there was scores for that. Maybe we should put scores for this also. Maybe. Okay, this is part of your assignment for this week. This has started now. Put a public post about what you are learning. In fact, you can do it daily. What you are learning in machine learning, in Python or anything. You say, oh, 3MTT class just ended today. We learned about Python, how to write functions, how to do classes. It's really interesting to see what Python can do. We've learned this. I also studied this. So maybe we are going to start to follow people online, especially LinkedIn, to see if you are learning publicly. So try to learn publicly so that maybe someone in US or one other country, Holland or something, they'll see your dedication to learning and you may get a job through that. Because the idea is to raise millions of talents in Nigeria that can serve the world. It's not just to serve Nigeria. It's not just to get job. It's to create something safe. When you do your projects now, like you can create something, you can learn something, you can put it out there, right? So the government wants to see that impact. Some of the greatest way we can even get foreign investment that would help the Naira is even through knowledge like this. Knowledge. Okay, knowledge. Knowledge is what makes the US #1 in the world today. Knowledge. Yeah. All right. So I'll stop the recording, like I said. If there are any questions we can still take before I lay me down to sleep. Okay, thank you everyone for the class. I will end the recording at this